Welcome to WERA Grand National Finals here at Barber Motorsports Park, and this is the V8 Vintage Mediumweight class. So this is a little bit older class bikes. I think these are 15 years or 12 years and older. I don't know. Either way, mine's older. This is my first time at Barber, and so I got here on Thursday. This is Saturday, and just tried to get as much seat time as I could. So all day Thursday, ended up popping up in a vintage class relay class for endurance on Friday with the team, and then the sprint races here on Saturday. So here we go. Flag's about to drop, and I'm in third. Front row, here we go. Flag drops, so do all my positions. So we are starting this in now 9th place. I just kind of send it up the inside here. It's probably not the cleanest passes, and I go a little bit wide, but I like looking at the times going into this race. This was the only one that I felt like I might actually have a chance of winning. And so I was real bummed to get such a bad start. I mean, I was doing terrible starts all weekend, but to feel like you can win and then also get a bad start is a pretty big bummer. Here's Charlotte's Web, really fun corner. You know, first lap of the race, everyone's like 4 or 5 bikes wide. Like you can't really do much there and just try to save it. Like I'm trying to be a little bit impatient. Because I just want to make up positions. I show my wheel here and just try to let him know I'm there. Marcel's bike's in front of me right here, and I know he's got a pretty fast bike, so I just try to get a little bit of a draft on the back straight as we kind of tip in for, what is that, turn 10 or something like that, 9, 10, just stay up alongside of him. Turn 11 here, he was starting to turn in. Don't do that on a track day, but we'll be all right for racing. Going into here, like 13, 14, I guess it's 14A. Dude, if you guys ride this track a lot and know what to do in here, let me know, because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of motoring through there and kind of lost a little bit. I did take a little bit of a wider line through 15, and I think that helps with my drive onto the front straight, which I definitely need help with on an old CBR. Here is Terry in front of us, so it's always fun to see him out there. Terry Cooper, clean looking R6 there. He's not in our class, so this pass doesn't really count for my positions right now, but good to see you, Terry. I'm on my way to go try to find some other people. No time to chat. You can kind of tell right in the bottom left corner there, you've got a wheel that pokes up. Thought about sending it up the inside there, but really too far back to make anything stick there. Sometimes you just got to know when to, you know, try to fight with people, and sometimes you just got to let people, even if they're not quite as fast and you feel like you've got a little more pace, sometimes like overall for a better time in the whole race, it's better just to like sit behind someone and wait for a really clean pass instead of trying to like fight with each other for a couple corners. And then maybe you come out on top, but you've lost like, you know, 6 or 7 seconds or something like that by like, you know, battling back and forth for multiple corners, as opposed to just like sit behind them for a little bit, wait till you've got a good area to pass in, and then that you're comfortable with and that you can make something really clean, and then, you know, now you've lost half a second instead of like 2 or 3. So again, wide line through 15, try to get that drive. You know, I'm not trying to get a little bit of a draft there, and then stay on the inside. You know, you can see him check up a little bit before the foreboard, so you just know if you break, you know, a little bit after the foreboard, then you'll be all right, and you'll make that pass stick. You know, from here, let's talk about points. So, V8 Vintage Mediumweight. The vintage class bikes do it a little bit different for GNF. There's another old bike, so you know he's in my class. The last race of the year at GNF ends up counting for double points. I honestly have some mixed feelings about double points at any race. I know, you know, when I was racing with Pan Am, they used to do double points at some select tracks, most notably and most commonly at Miami Homestead, since, you know, that's their home track. And they're trying to drive attendance, and I get why you do it. You want people to be out there for these events that you deem important, or maybe for ones that you think people will struggle to get to. I remember like NOLA was one they would give out double points for last year at Pan Am, because it's hard to get to NOLA. No one ever shows up there. I don't know how much it honestly drives attendance, but I do feel like it just kind of maybe muddies the water a little bit in points positions. We'll come back to that towards the end of the race. But I'm in fourth here. This is actually Sean who's leading the points in front of me. I know I don't know exactly, especially in these mixed class races, like what points or what position you're in, but I know I'm making up time, and I just gotta like keep making positions. I do recognize Deshaun's bike because it's another old clapped out CBR just like mine, and you know, CBR guys tend to know the other CBR guys. We also like to think we're better riders than everyone if we can beat them, since we're on the slower bikes, but whatever. So I get a pretty good clean pass on him going into Charlotte's Web. I like passing in Charlotte's Web. I like passing in turn one. Those seem to be like kind of two good places for me to pass, where I feel like I'm doing good clean passes. This does put me in a podium position, so I'm happy about that. Again, I'm not really like super focused on that right now. I'm just trying to make up the points where I can and see where we end up. Although I do feel like I'm making some good progress here. I've got another person in front of us here that we can chase. As we get a little bit closer, we see it's another CBR. I told you this was a fun class for CBRs because, you know, vintage bikes. All these CBRs are pretty much the same since, you know, 07, 08 definitely, and, you know, arguably before then as well. They haven't changed all that much. So again, I take that wider line. Like I said, turn one and Charlotte Webb are my favorite places to pass, so I'm gonna try to set this one up. You can see his body position there. Kind of starts to move a little bit before the foreboard. You know that's time to pass then, if you can make that pass stick. Did hear my clutch dump a little bit, and I will say, like, when you're really just like hard on the brakes, sometimes I don't do as well on the clutch, and without a slipper clutch it gets a little sloppy. So, you know, that's an argument for being a little bit smoother, and brake a little bit earlier, and just give yourself a little bit of time to be more consistent. Now this is, now I see someone in front of us, which is first place. This is like really where I think you can, it's a good opportunity to go try to set personal best lap times. You've got a little bit of clear track here. You've got someone who's got some pretty decent pace in front of you. That's your carrot. You can go chase that. I ended up not getting a PB in this race, but these next couple laps I end up doing, and I think pretty much for the rest of the race, end up getting pretty close. So I was pretty happy with being consistently close to a PB, and if I didn't get the PB, you know, you got to be happy with consistency and see if that pays off for us. So again, at this point, I'm trying to maybe start to watch him a little bit. He's got pace, and I don't actually know who it is, but I can see he's got pretty good pace, and I'm going to start studying and figuring out where do maybe I brake a little bit later, where do I catch a little bit of time. I notice going the drive into two, and sometimes it pushes me out a little wide, but I did notice I would catch a little bit of time up on people there. We're going to check out Charlotte's Web here and see if on the brakes I seem to be catching him a little bit, so I'll remember that for next lap time and see if that's a good place to pass. All of a sudden he goes wide. Bike gets unsettled, he goes wide. I don't know what's going on, but I'm now just like screaming at my CBR to please go a little bit faster if it could, and just take that position. I wasn't expecting to get a position at that point. This puts me up first. I don't know exactly where I'm at, but I know it's probably pretty good because I don't really see anyone in front of us. So I'm thinking this might be first, and now I'm the carrot. So now I gotta kind of quickly shift my mind and be both, you know, still set clean, good laps, because he was going good for a while. So like, I know he's got pace. He's gonna catch right back up to me. But you know, now I've got to think about maybe running a little bit more defensive lines. You can see in this like 14 section, I do keep it a little bit closer in to that right side, because I want to make sure he doesn't come up underneath me. I still go a little bit wide there because I feel like, you know, that's where I was having better luck than most people, just carrying the speed there. I did notice in mini laps I still wasn't using all the track on the exit, so I think I can carry a little bit more speed there, or maybe get on the gas a little bit sooner or something. But you know, here, turn 2, 3, I'm keeping it pretty tight inside there. I try not to lift. I shouldn't lift going over that corner. We all know we shouldn't lift, and it's only a 600, so. He is catching up to me though in Charlotte's Web there, and I can hear it. You'd see me look back over there. I know he's right behind me, so you know, I'm not concerned, but I know he's there. There's no way I'm getting through this without him sending something on me. And actually, one of the things I start doing, especially like Museum Corner or something like that, where you're about to go on a big long straight, and you know he's close behind, like, I start listening to which of us gets on the gas sooner. And I know, like, it's not always perfect, because sometimes maybe you get on the gas later, but you end up getting on it harder, versus getting on it earlier and kind of feathering it on, and like you end up getting to full throttle a little bit sooner. We end up catching up to lap traffic here. This was about as clean as I could hope for. And if you look behind, Jimmy there gets stuck behind him, and this gives me like, I mean, I don't really notice when I turned around and tried to look. I can actually really see quite how much of a gap that gave me, but this gave me like a ton of breathing room, and on the last lap too. But anyways, like I was talking about, like, I will sometimes listen to who gets on the gas a little bit quicker, because it helps me try to think about if someone's going to send it up the inside of me. So like here in the Charlotte's Web, I end up braking super deep late and go pretty wide. And that's a little bit of a strategic move on my part, I guess I would call it. I know I don't really want to try to go wide, but I did want to try to brake as late as possible, because, and if I end up going a little bit wide, it's okay, because it's this like increasing radius turn, and what'll happen is if Jimmy sends it up the inside, if he brakes perfectly and gets past, like lines it up right on the side of me, I'm already wide, so he's not going to stand me up that much. I still get good exit out of there. I can still get the inside line for coming into Museum Corner. If he tries to use me as a reference and brake later than me, which I know I try to do sometimes, I'm like, oh, I'm going slower, I'll go slower, then he's going to also go wide. More lap traffic. That was close. I was not expecting him to check up like that. I was trying to make it past like the other one we did before. Whatever. We just try to race the line, and I'm like scared that Jimmy's going to come behind us. This is the last lap. There's a start and finish line checkered flag, and I take the W on this one. I was pretty excited about that. It was a great way to end, and this was one of the last races of the season. So Sunday ended up getting rained out. Back to the points thing real quick. So this, because this was double points, Deshaun ended up having some trouble with his bike, and I mean, he finished, but he was having trouble with the setup and stuff, and just getting the bike to do what he wanted, and ended up like 5th in this race, I think. And with me finishing in first, this actually put me in first place for national championship. So I won the national championship in this race, which is awesome. It's an awesome way to finish the season. I was excited about it. I didn't even know it until the awards ceremony later that evening. So I was, it was a really fun way to end the season. That being said, you can't take anything away from Deshaun. Every single race that we were in together, he beat me. He won every single race he was in, except for this one where he got 5th. I think I got 2nd in every single race that we were in together, and then there was one race that I got a 1st place in, but he wasn't even in it. So he like consistently was a better rider all season, and then it kind of flip-flopped right at the end here. So that's racing. That's what happens. I'm looking forward to racing with him next year. And this is a fun class for me. So I'll try to get some videos out in the off season. This is the kind of last race video of the year, but I'll throw some stuff together for some, bike setup stuff. We'll see what else we come up with. But until then, see you guys next season.